Before you knew who they were or how they hooped, a number of future NBA stars graced the court together as mere school kids playing for fun. Well, let's face it, they were just as competitive then as they are now. Today, they're just bigger and better. Here's some NBA players you never knew were teammates in high school. Be sure to click the subscribe button and check out the links in the description for more latest hoops content. Let's kick things off with the second pick overall in the 2013 draft and his ex-high school teammate who was the Detroit Pistons' leading scorer last season.
The Orlando Magic select Victor Oladipo of Indiana University.
Victor Oladipo and Jeremy Grant played together at DeMatha Catholic High School in Hyattsville, Maryland. Neither had much fanfare around them as some other kids stepping in as high school freshmen might have, but that didn't matter as they were shining examples of players who ground out early mornings traveling at dawn to get into the gym before school and build their reputation. It's said that they both spoke constantly about playing in the NBA together, and now that their dreams have finally come true, it's surreal to see both players doing as well as they have. Grant's 22.3 average points per game last season is now a career high for him. Meanwhile, Oladipo is recovering from injury but has become a two-time All-Star and Most Improved Player of 2018 since his synonymous draft pick 8 years ago. What's nice is Grant and Oladipo got to play together once again at Oklahoma City Thunder in the 2016 to 2017 season, which I'm sure was a nice get-together since their recent high school reunion, which also boasted Quinn Cook of the Cleveland Cavaliers, another DeMatha alumni.
We all have the opportunity to live out our dreams, and it's a crazy, crazy feeling how we all used to hang out with each other, literally. I used to be over their house all the time, and his brothers, I call them my brothers, and he calls me his brother, so it's crazy how we were all under the same roof. Now we're all living out our dreams.
Both players found themselves in the top 10 of the 2016 draft following an underdog story led by a high school in Canada known for generating one of the NBA's best point guards and a 7-foot center who plied his trade at the Milwaukee Bucks. We're of course talking about Jamal Murray and Thon Maker. They attended Orangeville Prep in Orangeville, Ontario, Canada together where Jamal Murray's father served as assistant coach. The Canadian school felt like it was them against the world as they traveled south of the border to compete in major competitions such as the MLK Hoop Fest in DC or the Big Apple Challenge in New York City. It was a big deal for a country that had consistently sent its kids to the States after they'd first developed in Canada. Not only that, but they ended up defeating many American teams. So when you're a point guard who makes the tough shots look easy and a long 7-footer with phenomenal energy who runs the floor extremely well, you're bound to turn heads with both of them on the same high school team outside the US. Murray went on to commit to the University of Kentucky, averaging 20.3 points per game with a field goal percentage of 45.4% and a three-point percentage of 40.8%.
How about this? You tell me when you take a bad shot. I won't tell you. I told him 3 days ago. Tell me, even if it goes in, if it was a bad shot, you know it, you just say, that was a bad shot.
And how often have you done that?
He's not told me.
He then went 7th overall in the 2016 NBA draft, and the rest so far is history, as the 24-year-old has a lot more left in the tank to take on the world after his incredible 2020 playoff performance where he helped Denver to the Western Conference Finals with a playoff average of 26.5 points per game and a playoff field goal percentage of 50.5%, a year that saw him thwart Kawhi Leonard's Clippers from a 3-1 deficit in the conference semifinals. As for Thon Maker, he went 10th overall in the same draft after turning down numerous universities to complete his final year at Orangeville. He was ultimately selected by the Milwaukee Bucks and went on to start all 6 of their playoff games against the Toronto Raptors in his maiden year. Ever the underdogs, these two set the standard for Canadian high school players as it was finally recognized they don't necessarily need to head south too early in order to pursue their NBA dream.
Irving and Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good!
Next, let's talk about an NBA champion who hit a dagger 3 to help LeBron take his 3rd championship, and his high school comrade who ended up drafting ahead of Damian Lillard, Bradley Beal, Draymond Green, Chris Middleton, Andre Drummond, and Jay Crowder. Kyrie Irving and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist both attended St. Patrick High School in Elizabeth, New Jersey, where they dominated teams and created such a stir that even then Kidd-Gilchrist was considered one of the best young players in the USA. Meanwhile, Kyrie was known as one of the best ball handlers in future basketball as he struck a sensational 24.7 points per game and 10.3 assists per game. He ended up moving to Duke, striking 52.9% from the field and 46.2% from threes in his first and only year. This was enough for him to go 1st overall in the 2011 draft to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, on the other hand, went 2nd overall the following year, only dropping a place to Anthony Davis, who obviously ended up at the New Orleans Hornets. Looking back now, their careers went on 2 very different trajectories, but they'll both never forget where they came from. One famous high school tussle to look back on saw Kid Gilchrist and Irving defeated by a pair of Canadian teammates, Corey Joseph and Tristan Thompson, in a hoop hall classic between St. Pat's and Findlay Prep, Kid Gilchrist being blocked on the last shot of the game. Speaking of which, Canada's finest once again shows up, but this time down in Henderson, Nevada. Corey Joseph and Tristan Thompson propelled their high school team, Findlay Prep, to number 3 in the country before famously holding off the favorites. The year before, they had a trio of talent, as Avery Bradley was also part of their win over number 1 seed Oak Hill Academy. Bradley was drafted 19th overall in the 2010 draft by the Boston Celtics, where he spent 7 years. The peak of his career coming in the 2019-20 season, where he played for eventual champions the LA Lakers, but opted out of the playoff bubble due to the risk of the health of his family during COVID. Tristan Thompson was drafted following the year of Bradley's move as the 4th overall pick by the Cleveland Cavaliers, where he ended up teaming up with Kyrie Irving for a 2016 championship. And Corey Joseph went the same year further down the list at 29th to the San Antonio Spurs. All have made their mark in the NBA since their high school days.
With the first pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select Ben Simmons.
A first overall pick of the 2016 draft and a second overall pick of the 2015 draft share 4 All-Star appearances together and a high school career to remember. Ben Simmons and D'Angelo Russell took Montverde to back-to-back high school national tournament championships. It's said that the two played hard in practice, pushing one another to what ultimately landed the high school an undefeated record. Russell openly spoke about how professional he felt Simmons was on their first encounters together on court, stating, "I thought he was a professional at a very young age. I didn't even know what a professional looked like, but I knew whatever it was, or whatever it looked like, or whatever it walked around like, that's what Ben was." Russell went on to play at Ohio State, where he averaged 19.3 points per game at a 44.9% field goal average. Simmons was to play a season with LSU, where his defensive skill was clear for everyone to see, averaging 11.8 rebounds per game. Both players have been at the receiving end of much criticism for not reaching their full potential, but let's not forget they're still only 24 and 25 respectively. Our best guess is there's still a lot more to come from both these talents, and to be honest, we wouldn't be surprised if they ended up back on the same team at some stage in the near future. A former Buck beaten by his former high school teammate in the 2019 Eastern Conference Finals will always be known for helping a 2-time NBA Finals MVP to a 30-3 season with Martin Luther King High School. We are of course talking about Tony Snell and Kawhi Leonard. Snell ended up averaging 14 points, 7 rebounds, 4 blocks, and 3 assists per game in what would cap off a remarkable year for he and Kawhi as they led the Wolves to a number 7 national ranking. In true Kawhi fashion, Leonard smashed the stat sheet averaging 22.6 points, 13.1 rebounds, 3.9 assists, and 3 blocks per game. Kawhi's stock skyrocketed soon after as he helped San Diego State to the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament and ultimately had his jersey retired. We all know of Kawhi's recent success, but let's not forget that last season Snell became the first player in NBA history with a minimum of 100 field goal attempts to make at least 50% of his field goal attempts, 50% of his three-point attempts, and 100% of his free throws, a record that boasts him back-to-back seasons of 100% field goal attempts. No doubt he'd prefer the championships of Leonard, but individual accolades set you up for the record books, and as Kawhi knows, being the first to do anything is a big deal. Just ask him about that Game 7 buzzer beater again. An NCAA champion and back-to-back finals MVP shared the floor as teenagers with Oak Hill Academy, where a point guard was quicker than Roadrunner and a small forward was still growing into one of the greatest of his generation. Kevin Durant and Ty Lawson stacked up a huge record while playing together in high school. In Lawson's senior year, he ended up with a gargantuan 23.8 points, 9.1 assists, and 5 steals. KD ultimately transferred to rivals Montrose Christian School, where he beat his old teammate Lawson, who had Michael Beasley now on his side. Durant was named Most Valuable Player of the 2006 McDonald's All-American Game, and after a fruitful year at Texas where he had a 47.3 field goal percentage and a 25.8 points per game average, which led to him being picked second overall by the Seattle Supersonics in the 2007 NBA Draft.
No matter how good you are, if you don't work hard, nothing will happen for you. So I always use that quote. I instilled it in myself that no matter how good I am, I gotta keep working.
Lawson, on the other hand, continued his fine form right into college, winning the 2009 much-coveted NCAA championship with a new record of 8 steals in the final. Following a strong and progressive start to his career at Denver, with points production increasing yearly for 5 years straight, Ty Lawson's career has faded somewhat as he now plays for the Greek Basketball League. Despite humble beginnings, we all know where KD is and what he's done. He'd have teammates from the NBA that we're missing? Comment below to let us know your thoughts, and be sure to subscribe for more. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss another one of our videos. We'll see you next time, latest Hoops fans. Until then, keep shooting your shot!